You have a quorum, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the first items we are going to dispose of are bills coming over from the House that are identical to bills in the Senate. So, identical to bills that pass the Senate. So I'm going to read some numbers of bills, and I will ask for motions. Okay, I ask that we report out and refer to finance. House Bill 1525.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion has been made. Clerk, please open the roll. This is the bill on peer recovery, and it is identical to Sherman's bill.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Thank you. Okay, the next bill, it's House Bill 1709, and this bill is identical to Senate Bill 1424, carried by Senators Pillion. Each bill passed in each chamber unanimously. The patron of 1790 was Delphi Cherry, and it deals with the Department of Corrections, the possession and administration of naloxone. May I please have a motion?
Second.
Okay, will the clerk please open the roll?
Ayes 15, no 0.
Thank you. Bill reports. Okay, the next bill is House Bill 1753. The patron is Delegate Robinson. Passed the House 91-8. It is identical to Senator Boysko's bill, Senate Bill 1100, and that had to do with allowing a alcohol license at two airports. The one was Dulles, the other one was Reagan National. Again, the bills are identical. May I ask for a motion? Okay. Will the clerk open the roll? Okay, another bill, which is also in the status of being identical. House Bill 2054. Delegate Patrick Hope was the patron. And this is identical to my bill, Senate Bill 1267. This had to do with requiring the community services boards to update our courts on information available related to mental health services, and to there was also language in there asking the courts to ensure that defendants would be given information on the availability of mental health services. Each bill passed each body rather with robust margins.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Will the clerk open the roll? Reports.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Thank you. Next identical bill is House Bill 2321. The patron is Delegate Campbell. And it's the investigation prior to release with an input from the attorney for the Commonwealth. It's identical to Senate Bill 1015, Senator Suderline. And this has to do with when the parole board is conducting its required investigation. The board must notify the attorney for the Commonwealth in each jurisdiction in which an offense occurred. I will ask for a motion that this bill be reported.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
is my understanding that this was PBI'd, is that correct?
Oh, my
For Senate
apologies.
Bill
It was on
1015.
my,
Is Delegate Campbell here to speak to it?
Right.
Oh, there we go.
Hi,
here you go. Thank you.
good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. HB 2321 adds a section of code that would include the notification being made to the Commonwealth Attorney in each jurisdiction in which an offense has occurred for which the prisoner is incarcerated. Then the Commonwealth's Attorney can provide input to the parole board on the impact that the prisoner's release would have onto the locality. That information would be kept in the person's file and would be considered at future parole hearings. I ask that you report this favorably.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Campbell.
Madam Chair.
Senator Morsi.
Good morning, Delegate.
Good morning.
Do you have any empirical evidence at all about how many times the parole board notifies the Commonwealth Attorney and the Commonwealth Attorney actually gives a response as to how they feel about the person who's being considered for parole?
Madam Chair, I would say to the Senator, that I don't have empirical evidence. I do know that it's my understanding that the Commonwealth attorneys are now being notified after the release of the prisoner, so they're not being given the opportunity to give that information.
Further question.
Senator Morrissey?
Are you aware the law as it currently exists is that the parole board has to notify the Commonwealth's attorney, just notify them beforehand?
It is my understanding that they are being notified within 30 days of the prisoner's release after the parole decision has been made.
Further final question.
Senator Morrissey?
Given that some of these people who are up for parole have spent 3 decades in prison, and that the current Commonwealth attorney may be 3 or 4 administrations removed from when that person was prosecuted in that jurisdiction, do you really think it's likely that the Commonwealth attorney will go back into the Commonwealth attorney's archives, look up the file, and then weigh in on it?
Madam Chair?
Senator, yes, go ahead. My apologies.
No, that's okay.
Delegate?
So I would say to you that it would certainly be the responsibility of that Commonwealth attorney to do that. They would have, an ethical responsibility to the inmate and to the community to do so.
All right. I thank the
Okay,
delegate.
Thank you. Senator Hanger, did you have a question?
No, is the motion to report?
No, the motion is not to report.
Okay, I'll
Motion
speak
is-
just briefly
motion-
in opposition to that.
Madam Chair, did make a motion?
He did not make a motion. He was just assisting the chair.
Okay, the motion still is to report?
No, the motion is not to report.
Substitute motion
This is-
to
Second.
gently PBI.
Okay. I'd like to-
The bill.
I'd like to speak to that motion then, just briefly.
Okay, the motion that we're going to be voting on soon is a motion to PBI. Senator Hanger?
Thank you. I think as we look at this, we could say, well, it won't help, but the truth of the matter is it won't hurt, and it might help. It might help in some cases significantly. I know this is a reversal of our previous position, but I was going to say that we had a much nicer patron here now, but since Senator Suderline didn't hear, I'm not going to say that. But I would just encourage you to defeat the motion to pass it by so we can report it.
Okay, a motion has been made
Speaking to the motion.
to PBI the bill. Did you want to speak to it, Senator McKnight?
Just briefly.
Go ahead.
Delegate Campbell, welcome. I think this is your first bill. And
It is,
My
thank you.
apologies for the grumpy posture this morning.
No, that's okay.
And so we love to deal with many different subjects and hope to certainly hear a different topic from you in the future. Thank you.
Our vote is no reflection on your presentation. Okay, will the clerk please open the roll?
Ayes 9, noes 6.
Thank you all. This wasn't so bad. I was kind of nervous.
Thank you, Delegate. Okay, now let's move to similar bills. Wow. Okay. House Bill 1979 is, the patron is Delegate Lethwich. He asked if he needed to attend. I told him he did not. They conformed in Delegate Lethwich's committee yesterday. They voted out my bill, and we would like to not go to conference. So I am going to ask that we put my bill on top of Delegate Lethwich's, which would be reporting out as with amendments. Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. Would the clerk open the roll? Well, it's a voice vote for the amendments. Okay. Do you want to accept the amendments and then go ahead and accept the bill? Okay. Motion has been made to accept the amendments, and it's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Move to report. Okay. House Bill 1979 has been amended to conform to Senate Bill 809, and it is reported. Okay, the next big bill before us is House Bill 2258. It is not similar to 885. My bill is entirely different, actually. So House Bill 2258 is a standalone, and it has to do with alcohol beverage control, beer distribution. Delegate Robinson. And this bill needs to go to Finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What this bill will do, it will establish a Virginia beer distribution authority. And what it will, let me get my notes here so I'm not talking crazy. Here we
While
go.
she's getting your notes, may I ask the chairman a question?
Senator Morrissey.
It looks, my notes show that it was similar to your.
It is not. My bill is just a study. This bill actually articulates the licensing procedure, how breweries will obtain the licenses. It's a very different bill. My bill was just a study, and in fact, my bill will not go forward if this bill does.
And Madam Chair, does this go to finance or rules?
This goes to Finance. This will be re-referred to Finance.
Yes, it's not a study bill. There was a lot of people came together, including Senator Favola, to get us to this point. And we have everybody on board with all the wholesale beer, VDAX, ABC, the wine industry. Everybody is on board to help create this distribution company that will be oversight will be done by VDAX. And it's so that the small craft brewers can actually distribute their beer. It has to be less than 500 barrels a year that they produce. And so if you've got a local craft brewer who's only creating 125 barrels, but they can still distribute their beer down to the local restaurant or to the local, pub or whatever in their area, so that their beer will have a broader distribution. The big distribution companies don't want to deal with that, and so they've been kind of hamstrung in getting their beer distributed. And so, like Senator Favola said, what this bill will do is it will establish the regulations will come through VDAX and everything, so that they can move forward with us.
It has been a long time in the coming. There were many, many, many negotiations on this, and this bill will have to, as I mentioned earlier, be re-referred to Finance. Do you have any speakers, or we're?
Well, if they want to come and just,
Tell
if you
us
would
how
love to
great
hear
the
what they
bill
have
is?
to say or ask questions.
Madam Chair, would you accept a motion?
I would like to hear from one speaker, Mr. Boykin, and I think we're going to hear from folks who are representing the beer
Don't
industry.
grab defeat from the jaws of victory.
No, I was hoping not to testify, but I will say Phil Boykin with the Virginia Beer Wholesalers Association. This has been a long negotiated process. I want to thank all the parties involved, and we're in favor of the bill. So, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the
morning.
committee. My name is Paige Warnig. I'm with the Virginia Craft Brewers Guild, and we are very much in support of this bill. It has been a long time coming, 18 months of work and negotiations and figuring out how best to make this process work. And we appreciate the patron of the bill and look forward to the impacts of the industry.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, briefly, we do want to thank you for all your work on this, along with Elliot Robinson. We do support it.
Thank you. Okay, colleagues, we're now ready for a motion
Move the report
and re-refer to Finance.
and we refer to finance.
I don't have anybody noted. I can ask if there's anybody in opposition, but we sort of worked this pretty well. Thank you. Okay, there's peace in the valley.
Madam Chair.
Motion has been made to report and re-refer to Finance. Will the clerk please open the roll?
Madam Chair.
Senator McPike?
I'm sorry, just speaking to the motion briefly. Madam Chair, I'd say at some point between craft now and wine being in VDAX versus ABC at some point, I'm not sure it makes sense, but no harm to the bill whatsoever. I know the stakeholders have,
this
it's
bill
more
actu-
philosophical at some point, so I'm good with the bill. Just wanted to state for the committee at some point, having these under ABC might be a thing, but
Let
thank
me
you.
respond to that. Parts of this bill will be under VDAX, but clearly the regulatory aspect on the granting of licenses will be with ABC.
Correct.
This is this tracks exactly what our wine company is, our wine distribution company is. Thank you so much. Okay, colleagues, will the clerk please open the roll?
Ayes 15, no 0.
Thank you all very, very much. A
Thank
lot of
you,
hard work
Delegate
went into this,
Robinson.
and so we appreciate your vote.
Okay, another bill before us is, and I don't see, is Delegate Kilgore here? Yes, okay. Delegate Kilgore. Thank you. House Bill 2294. Would
Thank you, Madam
Give us a
Chairwoman.
brief presentation, please.
This is the hemp bill, similar to Senator Hanger's, and I think it's very similar to Senator Hanger's. I know there's a few differences and maybe some more, but we're just trying to get the process moving forward.
Okay.
report.
Let's hold on.
Wait a minute.
Hold on a moment. We have a
Have
few
a few
comments and a
changes.
few questions.
Madam
Senator
Chair,
Hanger.
I think we haven't ironed out how similar the similarities are, but I think we should conform at this point, so I would so
Yes,
move.
I
Conform
would
to
agree with that. Now, before I accept the motion on moving to conform, which would be putting yours on top of his, I have a note here that there may be an amendment being offered,
Madam
which
Chair.
essentially would direct CCA to create a regulatory framework for retail licenses. Senator McPike?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if the patron's okay, we've kind of taken a position of CCA on some regs in relation to that, and I think in the past in this committee, I think it would be helpful to it, and I think it would be in the form of a substitute with Hanger's bill with the then CCA regs.
Why don't we amend?
That would be,
why don't
that
we-
would be, I think what you're saying is that would be like the directing the CCA to do some regs on retail, but the General Assembly would ultimately have the control on whether to pass it or not. Is that what you're saying, basically?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, this is a process. It's a process, so I understand.
And then conform, yeah. Okay, I think the motion needs to be to amend Delegate Kilgore's bill with that. And then we'll, no, amend his, and then we're going to put hangers on top of that amended bill.
The other way around, I believe.
Okay? David, why don't you guide us?
Madam Chair, so yeah, it would be in the form of a substitute, and what it would look like is just putting Senator Hanger's bill on top of it and then making a small little amendment to one of the enactment clauses, but it would be a substitute.
Are you Senator Hanger?
It's a
Well,
process.
I think the first
Hey.
motion to be in order would be to
Hey,
conform
I gotta say
Delegate
my bill.
Kilgore's bill to the Senate bill, and then you can amend that.
A second, okay. So if we're making a motion to conform, that is on the board. So will the clerk please open the roll? Always vote? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And now you want to go ahead and amend? Okay. Okay, all those in favor,
But no one now, too.
okay, well, let me do a voice vote first, and then if I have to open the roll, I will. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment as articulated by Senator McPike signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed to the amendment?
No.
Okay. Chair believes the amendment passed.
Madam Chair.
Senator, yes, Senator Morrissey.
Question probably better for Senator Hanger. Is the tetrahydrocannabinol concentration in your bill of no more than 0.3% the same as Delegate Kilgore's bill? And is the cap on the milligrams per package identical?
I think we just conformed it.
Madam Chair, if I could respond to
Senator Hanger.
Thank you. Of course, we just conformed Delegate Kilgore's bill to my bill, so it's identical now before we amend it. And we had changed the specific packaging requirements to something that would be determined by the Cannabis Control Authority.
Remember, when we go on the board, our steps will be to report out a substitute that looks like Senator Hanger's with the amendment we just
we got
did.
the- through
And
process.
Madam Chair, if I'm
We'll get it
understanding
settled.
Senator
the
Hanger.
amendment, this is getting into an area that I've resisted previously.
Yes.
Where it's moving forward with authority to write regulations for recreational marijuana without actually authorizing that market.
This is, again, this is going to go into conference. Okay, colleagues, do you have any other questions?
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
we did.
Yes, we did. No, we adopted the amendment. We're going to have to, the next motion will be on the board to vote out this substitute. Senator Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Delegate, we've discussed with Mr. Slayball
Yeah.
in our discussions, we just got to have the bigger conversation here. Senator Hanger doesn't want it to be a part of his bill. That seems to be the only bill anybody wants. So we're just trying to make sure we continually say, when are we all going to sit down and have the big discussion, right?
Well, I understand it's a process, and we just got to go get through the process, and we'll be able to sit down and talk about the process and see what authority we can give the CCA and move on.
Move to report and re-refer to finance.
Okay, all right, colleagues. Motion has been made and seconded. You should be clear about what we're voting on. Will the clerk please open the roll?
Get it out of here.
Ayes 13, noes 2.
Thank you, Delegate
Thank you.
Kilgore.
Thank you.
Okay. Next one is Delegate Wilt here? See him? Okay. Davis, Morrissey. Okay, how about, why don't we hold off for a moment and go to House Bill 2487. Patron is Delegate Davis. It's similar to Senator Morrissey's bill 887, and I believe Delegate Davis was going to allow you, Senator Morrissey, to make a statement and then make a motion to conform.
Madam Chair, I believe this bill, he's going to allow it to conform, and then we're going to go to conference. I think that was...
So what you would like to do is move a substitute to House Bill 2487, so it
Yes.
conforms to Senate Bill 887.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, very good. There's a second. Will the clerk please open the roll? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me.
Everybody aye.
Now, we need a motion to report out, do we not?
So moved.
Second.
And re-refer to finance or no?
I do not have that, no. So motion to report, substitute. Clerk open the roll.
Ayes 11, noes 4.
Okay. Okay, that's substitutes reported. Okay, now, let's go to House Bill 2428. The patron is not here, but it is my understanding that the patron understands that, in fact, we will adopt a substitute, again, to conform to Senate Bill 1233, which was Senator Obenshain's.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of adopting that substitute signify by saying aye. Aye.
Move to report. Second.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Before we take the vote, who was calling me? Senator Servell?
I just wanted to point out that when this was presented to us last time, it was explained that this made marijuana advertising the same as alcohol advertising. After the meeting, I checked with Mr. May, and he told me that it wasn't exactly correct, which is that the alcohol advertising restrictions are in the administrative regs. They're not chiseled into the code. So while the rules will be similar, this is not, with regard to alcohol, we typically didn't put that in the code. We left the discretion up to the ABC board to come up with the regulations and that flexibility to define those rules. So this is actually different than how we treat alcohol. And I thought the committee ought to know that. It's not exactly how the bill was presented, so.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. All right, a motion has been made to report the bill with the substitute on it, and it has been seconded, so we'll have to open the roll.
Ayes 15, noes 0.
Okay, bill reports. Okay, colleagues, we're going to other bills now. House Bill 1866. Patron is Delegate Scott. Welcome.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. House Bill 1866 is a really simple bill. Basically, what it does is it creates an automatic reinstatement process for an ABC license. Currently, under Virginia code, if a restaurant owner has a health department violation and their health department license is suspended, then health department notifies ABC and ABC license is automatically suspended. Once they correct that issue, then they go through the reinspection process with the health department. The health department reinstates their license. The health department does notify ABC, but then that restaurant owner has to go through additional steps to get their ABC license back, and this would just make it automatic. There was a small committee amendment to add solely, so it reads, if board suspends or revokes the license of a retail establishment due solely to the fact that its food establishment permit from the Department of Health was revoked. And so, again, it's just trying to streamline the process, make it easier for that restaurant owner to continue to provide a service to the community and be able to pay their employees.
Thank you for your presentation. I believe John Daniel is here from ABC. I have a question.
Madam, do we have to move the amendment first?
No. Mr. Daniel?
Good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. John Daniel with Virginia ABC.
As I read this three-line bill, it seems to me this is our current practice. Am I incorrect in that conclusion?
It is the current practice. You know, we do not automatically suspend the ABC license when the health department refuses to suspend their license. What we do is talk to the licensee and say, you shouldn't be exercising the privilege of the ABC license while you're suspended by the health department. But as I read the bill, it doesn't really change a lot of our current practice.
Madam Chairman.
Senator Servo and then Senator
I
Morrissey.
have a couple questions. You said it doesn't change a lot of your practice, not doesn't change your practice. I'm trying to understand what you mean by that.
So, Madam Chair, Senator Surville, I say that because I'm not exactly sure what this language does. What concerns me is that when you all make a policy change like this, at some point, whether it's next month, whether it's a year from now, somebody's going to suggest that this changes our process. And when we say solely, if there are subsequent events to the revocation of the licenses that have to do with compliance, is that included? Or are they, because they stemmed from a health department suspension,
I got it.
Are they then also, do we look the other way on that?
I got it, Madam Chairman.
Senator Servo.
Just so I'm clear, I think what you're saying is, I mean, first of all, the food requirement, the reason you'd yank an ABC permit when the health thing kicks in is because you're not supposed to sell alcohol when you don't have food, right? So, and I think what you just said is, if a license were to get pulled because of a health code violation and they couldn't sell food, but they continued, they had some other kind of violation subsequent to the health code violation which caused their ABC license to suspend, you're saying somebody could argue that even if they kept selling alcohol after they weren't supposed to, they ought to get reinstated because their original suspension stemmed from the food health code violation, right?
Correct. I think that could certainly be an argument that
Okay,
would.
so, Madam Chairman, further question? So,
Senator Servo.
So then, I think what you're saying is that you would prefer there to be some additional language in this that says something like, if there are any nothing herein shall require the reinstatement of a license if there are other violations, other alcohol-related violations or something like that. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That,
Make you feel more comfortable?
Okay, one person at a time. Mr.
Yeah,
Daniel?
that would certainly address the concern that I'm raising.
Okay, Madam Chairman, I'm going to make that motion, but Senator Morrissey seems like he has something he wants to
Wait
say.
a minute, Madam Chair.
One person at a time. Senator Morrissey,
Thank you.
and then Senator Sproul.
Thank you.
Senator Morrissey.
Mr. Daniel, I think we might be making this more complicated. My understanding of the bill is as follows. If there was a sanitary condition causing the Department of Health to revoke the food license, and if ABC then also revoked it, only because of the food defalcation, if they correct the measure and the Department of Health says you're back in good standing, my understanding of this bill is that instead of having to apply back to ABC and say, look, we took care of the food violation, give us our license back, the patron's bill says you don't have to go through that process of going back to ABC and saying, give us our license back. That's my understanding of the bill, and are you in agreement with that? That you don't have to make that additional step to go back to ABC and say, can we have our license?
Yeah. Madam Chair,
Mr.
Senator
Daniel.
Morrissey, yes, I would agree that that's a proper reading.
I'm sorry, the answer is yes?
I would agree with your, I would
Okay.
agree with your
Okay,
analysis.
Senator Sproul.
thank you.
Madam Chair, we're sitting up here as senators, asking the ABC person question, he's agreeing to it, and the delegate sitting there shaking his head no. I mean, he's the delegate, let him say something about his bill. We're making changes up here about this and what changes made, and the delegate sitting right there shaking his head. Let him say something about his bill. Don't make all the changes he's not agreeing to it. Let him say something.
Senator Sproul, we will now ask the patron if the patron wants to respond to this conversation. I caution my colleagues, let's watch our tone. I know some of us want to grandstand. This is not a committee where we're going to grandstand.
It's not
We
a
are-
grandstand matter. Just make sure it's done fairly.
Please watch your tone.
I am. You make sure it's done fairly,
We
too.
are a committee that exercises civility. I don't want any voices raised. Delegate, please come to the podium and comment if you wish.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would say that the last line of the bill takes care of the concerns as addressed. If there was any other issues that came about, any other ABC violations, it says provided the licensee is in compliance with all applicable provisions of this subtitle. And so if they are selling alcohol after they should not, this would not apply. And so that has language in there to address that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman,
Senator Servell?
thank you. I have an amendment I want to move, and Mr. May might want to tweak it for me, but I would like where it says, provided the licensee is in compliance with all applicable provisions of this title, I would like it, I think it ought to say something like, provided that the licensee has been otherwise compliant with all applicable provisions of this title during the suspension.
I would consider that a friendly amendment, Madam Chair.
Okay, that amendment has been made. Is there a second? All those in favor of adopting that amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, that amendment's adopted. It's considered friendly. Okay, is there a motion now on the bill? Is there anybody in opposition? I heard an overwhelming yes.
Second.
I don't think anybody's here to
I don't
oppose.
think there was no comment in the House either on this. Okay, colleagues, I will ask, now that the amendment's before us, the bill has been amended. If anybody wishes to comment, you are welcome to come to the podium, either pro or con. If not, the bill has amendments before us. Motion has been made and seconded. Will the clerk please open the roll?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and
Your
members of the
bill
committee.
reports as amended.
Ayes 15, no 0.
But you noticed, that only got out of the House 51.
Delegate Sickles.
Good morning.
Well, welcome. Welcome to our rather lively and
Yeah. I noticed-
interesting rehab committee.
Well, I noticed the pages couldn't keep the smile off their faces during that last one, so I appreciate the guidance that you're giving to our youth. This bill is suggested by the Virginia Healthcare Foundation, and it's to remove an unnecessary bureaucratic delay in the process of becoming a licensed clinical social worker. You know, Virginia is simultaneously experiencing unprecedented demand for mental health services and a tremendous shortage of LCSWs and other licensed behavioral health professionals, and more therapists are needed. In order to become an LCSW, you have to have a master's of social work, and then you have to spend 3,000 clinical hours working under another LCSW. So this problem is that the board, the Board of Social Work has to approve your next supervisor. And so if your supervisor were to move, the LCSW you're working under, it can take up to 3 months to find another person to continue your 3,000 clinical hours, work requirement. And so this bill has the Board of Social Work to maintain a website and list of contact information of persons currently approved to supervise candidates for licensure, and that MSW can pick from that list and continue without delay the process of getting their 3,000 clinical hours under supervision done. That's what it does.
Seems pretty
Did I get that right,
direct to
Mr.
me.
May? I get that right? Okay.
Do you have anybody in the audience wishing to speak to this bill? Please come forward.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Alexander McCauley for the National Association of Social Workers. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Good morning. Ariel McAloon with Fairfax County, and we support the bill.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak to the bill? Okay.
Madam Chair.
The bill's before us.
Sorry.
Senator Morrissey and Senator Mason.
Delegate, the main, do I understand the main thrust of this bill is you got to find people that can perform this supervisory role.
That's right.
In order for them to move forward with their license.
That's
and you're
correct.
having difficulty finding those people to match up. Is that the gist of it?
That and it's a bureaucratic process to have the Board of Social Work itself approve the next person rather than pre-approve the supervisors,
Madam
qualified
Chair-
supervisors.
Senator Morrissey.
Madam Chair, when it's appropriate, I'd like to make a motion.
Madam
Senator
Chair.
Mason.
Delegate Sexton.
Yes,
good morning.
sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You have an outstanding bill coming over your way that sets up an advisory board of social workers offered by the junior senator from Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And the hoops that you've just described sound like an outstanding thing for that board and others to look at and see if we can start breaking down some of the barriers so we can get people that we need so desperately to do this work. So thank you for this bill,
Anything
and I
will
hope
help.
you look out for that bill when it comes your way.
Well, certainly will.
Thank you.
Okay, a motion has been made. Is there a second? Okay, will the clerk please open the roll?
Ayes 15, no 0.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Delegate Wampler.
Morning, Madam Chair and Senators. I have House Bill 2336 in front of you. This speaks to marketplace license fees in Section 4.1. This deals with the ABC license. It's given to spas and certain retail establishments, massage establishments, sometimes seasonal establishments that come up in Virginia Beach or other parts of the state. What the bill would do is reduce the fee by half if the license privileges are exercised for a period of less than 6 months. So we're giving a break to folks who are setting out to conduct themselves with these marketplace license fees. So for the state fee, it's currently set at $1,000. If they operate for less than 6 months, the ABC is allowed to reduce it to $500 for that marketplace license. And for the local fees, that's currently capped at $200 max. We would say that that is now capped at $100 for these fees. And that's the bill. Madam Chair, happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Delegate Wampler. I am going to ask John Daniel to come forward from ABC to see if there's any administrative burden on this and to provide any technical or otherwise
Madam Chair,
helpful
members
comments.
of the committee, John Daniel for Virginia ABC. There's, you recall a few years ago when we did license reform, we converted these one-off licenses, day spas, bespoke tailors, and others, to the marketplace license. It's a license for alcohol provision as a secondary to the primary business. What we discovered was that there were some seasonal facilities that were concerned about the fee. We had increased the fee to $1,000 for those licenses. So there's no administrative burden. We're simply providing an opportunity for seasonal situations to get that license for half that price, and that covers our cost of issuing and administering the license.
So this is an okay bill.
Well, I don't have a formal position, but I think it's okay.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Senator Rouse.
Thank you. This primarily deals with alcoholic beverages. You mentioned, beauty shops and parlors and things of that notion. As a former city council member, I hear from tattoo parlors all the time who were talking about in the city of Virginia Beach the licensing fees being so high. Would this affect them as well, or is just strictly talking about alcoholic beverages and that nature?
Madam Chair, Senator Rouse, I may have to defer back to ABC for this. I'm not sure if any tattoo parlors currently have marketplace licenses, so I'll yield if we know. I'm not sure they fit this category at this time, but it would for the other smaller retailers that exercise this type of license over a short period of time.
All right, thank you.
And then maybe it's a good precedent if we want to lower the fees for others later.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Delegate Wampler, did you bring any speakers with you, or?
No, I did, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Move to report.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. I didn't robustly offer for speakers, but I guess your bill's going to do fine. Are you okay? Motion has been made and seconded. Will the clerk please open the roll? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oops, my apologies.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Your bill reports. Okay, Mr. May, I have nothing further on my docket. Is that a correct interpretation?
Yes, ma'am, that's it.
Okay, having no further business, committee shall rise.